But we thought producer Cowan actually pointed this out. Our What's Brewing segment for our friends over at Southern Tier was a social media post, and I'll let you guess who it is. My only note under this player was to right a previous wrong.
It's Wyatt Teller. I already know. Yeah, you can't make me guess because I was in the conversation. That's not fair. It's Wyatt Teller.
It's for the content, Aaron.
I
It's
know.
for the content.
I'm breaking the fourth wall or whatever.
31 years old, 3-time Pro Bowler out of Cleveland. At one point was probably pretty definitively Brandon Beane's biggest whiff. Certainly biggest whiff of acquired player that we let leave early.
Slow, yeah,
you could argue on like a Kyer Elam pick or something like that, or one of the bigger signings. The money would matter a ton to me. There's a couple guys I have in a similar tier, and it would need to be that, like, oh, David Edwards got $13 million a year from someone, and we could get Wyatt Teller for $8 million, and be like, oh, okay. Otherwise, David Edwards is 27. I think it's most likely, I have some names that'll come up later on here, that we sign like a mid-tier guy that has history with Pat Meyer that will compete with Alec Anderson, Tylen Grable, Cedric Van Granger, and a 5th-round pick. I think that it's most likely that I have 3 players that have history with Pat Meyer that I could potentially see, but I won't lie, the heartstrings would be tugged at a little bit. I wouldn't hate it if Wyatt Teller came back.
I'm a no. I'm a hard no on this. I think I won't hard no. If the deal was there, I think he's going to get paid for his name in past production. I think he'll be a 12 million type guy that some team,
in all sincerity, that's exactly who Las Vegas should throw money at to come protect Fernando Mendoza. Like, that's what you want, is bring in a guy who's going to set the tone for your new offensive line, overpay him, and then draft other guys.
With that said, I think his best football might be behind him too. I think, again, you're buying on a name that has done stuff that probably isn't producing to the way. Maybe he can turn some things around, but that career seems to be declining over the last couple of years here. So yeah, I understand wanting, like you said, to correct that wrong. There was times where I wanted him back really bad, but I don't think that time's now. I think you're going to pay for a name that doesn't match the value of some of these other guys, in my opinion, that are going to fall under that $10 million range if you lose out on both these guys. And I don't even know that the Bills are in a rush to replace that starting caliber. Like when you talk about some of the shifts we talked about at their own free agency. But if you are, I think you can get into that $6 to $8 million range for probably the same caliber of player, just doesn't have the name on the back.
Correct. 100%. So I have one player that I think is in that $6 to $8 million range. That's Steelers guard Isaac Seumalo.
Same here.
Is just a road grader of a run
Makes
blocker.
A lot of sense.
And a good pass blocker, like a good, not great. Actually, he's veteran Osiris Torrance. Like, he's super similar, like a road grading monster in run blocking and pretty good pass blocker. And when you have Josh Allen, that's not bad. Like, that kind of works. He's the one guy that I think is of a level that if we signed him, we would sign him to start, not to compete to start.
No, and it would be like a 1-year deal.
Yeah, I have it at 2 years, $12 million. 2 years, $12 million.
2 years.
And like, hey, yeah, you get you even get maybe $7 million of that this year with the signing bonus and the salary. And if it works, we keep you for one more year. If it was a 1-year patch, that's fine. But yeah, I have it at 2 years, $12 million, like a $6 million AAV. Maybe he gets $7 million of it this year.
Okay, I'm not that terrible at this. I had him around 6-7.
Yeah. One of the site, the kids are excited. One of the sites had him at 8 million, one had him at 6 million. So I think that's a very reasonable range. And guards are like linebacker and safety on defense. You'll hear me say this next week. It's impossible to guess what a linebacker or a safety or a guard is going to get paid, because the range is stupid. We will see some get crazy deals that don't make any sense. And then we'll see some big, wait, he signed for 3 million. Why did he sign for 3 million? And it goes in all directions. So there is a element of patience here, where waiting it out and seeing who loses out and then is looking for a spot, you can win by waiting that out.
Yeah, and I don't think once you get there's like a tier of a couple of guys, and once you get past that, it's all bunched up in terms
Yeah.
of talent, and I think you're just talking about a million here, a million there. So,
And it's
I
important to remind people we are not desperate. Even if we lose
correct.
both Connor McGovern and David Edwards, and I am of the mind that I think it's
I think
very
one's gone.
likely, to John Roberts' point here, Alec Anderson is a formality. He's a restricted free agent.
Correct.
He's not going to leave, and he can play both. He can compete at both. He
Yes.
could be our starting
I would
center
like
or our
him to
starting
be
guard.
the depth swing interior. Yeah, like an ideal situation.
Signing Isaac Seumalo would keep Alec Anderson very likely as the depth guy, but in fairness, I think he would compete with Cedric Van Pran Granger for the center spot.
Sure. I'm fine with him being a guy that's competing for one
Yeah.
of those two spots. That has no problem for me at all. The other thing with Seumalo is I think he's actually a player that is probably playing still at that closer to 10 range. Like I don't think he's a huge drop off from where you're at with those guys that are getting say 10 million a year. But I do think he's in the position in his career where if you were to offer him that contract you're talking, he'd take less maybe to come chase a ring with Josh Allen for a year and a half or 2 years. Like he's had success and then didn't have success. So like he's at the part in his career here at 32 years old where he only got 2 more chances maybe at this, where some of these younger guys are still earning money, still getting paid.
And we know how much those offensive line coaches influence
like their guys
coming with, and
Oh,
how
sure.
often that is, just like Aaron Cromer brought with David Edwards and his guys, that is a very, very common element. I was looking like games missed and injury history. I would say Seumalo and Teller are similar, but
Sure.
like you said, Teller is probably going to get paid for those 3 Pro Bowl appearances in the name more than
I think
Seumalo, when
so.
at this point they're probably pretty similar players.
I actually think the Teller contract might be one of those ones where like we're like, whoa, like
Could be.
that's aggressive for where he's at. I
Yeah.
think.
If somebody ends up giving him 3 years, 48 million, and it's like 16 million a year, I won't be surprised at all.
Yeah. So my only other guy on this list is also a former Pat Meyer guy and just came off of not playing. James Daniels was a guy that I really liked as a college prospect. Went to the Bears. The Bears kind of struggled with where to put him. I felt like the start of his career, one, that was a terrible offensive line,
Yeah.
not a very good team.
Bad
And then kind
coaching.
of just like moved him around. He was center, he was guard, he was just kind of all over the place with the Bears. I think he's a better player than he's shown to be. I think his best year was with Pat Meyer. So in Pittsburgh. So I think
Back-to-back years in Pittsburgh where he started every game.
yeah, I think this could be one of those guys. He's still 28 years old. So and I think this is a value. This is kind of like Goldilocks to me where hey, you can compete with whoever, Alec Anderson, whoever's there at guard, you guys can compete and best man wins.
So, as Ron said in the chat here, Daniels is as a Goldilocks makes a ton of sense because you get a lot of different possibilities here. One, you're talking about a elite prospect, like a 39th overall pick as an interior offensive lineman, was an elite athlete, 6'4", 320, moves well at 320, but has had health issues. So he's the kind of guy that you get an incentive laden cheap deal that, hey, if you end up starting, you can make some money back. But if it ends up where, hey, he can't get healthy, it's not working out right, he's there, but you need a guy to fill in for 3 games, you feel really good having a guy like that where, say, Alec Anderson wins the job or Tyler Grable wins the job, and then you just have James Daniels as a really nice backup, and that because he didn't hit the incentives, he's making 3 million because he didn't hit the incentives. You don't feel bad. Like that's a really nice luxury to have. Similar to when remember the first year we signed David Edwards. David Edwards was the jumbo offensive lineman. He wasn't a starter, and then moved into that role. So I think James Daniels as a Goldilocks here makes a lot of sense. I could see a deal where, hey, we offer you 2 years, could be up to 10 million, but it's based on games started and snaps played. And that if you don't, it's probably like 2 years, 5 million, 2.5, 3 million a year as just like a base. We're like, hey, we're not trying to give you nothing. But if you don't win the starting job, you don't get the money. But if you do, good for you. And you can make yourself $5-6 million a year. I think that's a fair structure for a guy like that. And also gives us the ceiling where if he hits potential and is healthy and plays, we get more than that. And if he doesn't, we get the luxury of veteran depth at like 2.5, 3 million, and it's not splurging.
Yeah, and add in obviously the relationship with Meyer and
Yeah.
knowing that language and knowing exactly what he's trying to teach. That's to me where it really settles into that Goldilocks range for me. Where you're getting the value on paper, you're getting the value of experience, plus you're getting the value of connection. It just makes a lot of sense, which probably
So
won't happen because of that.
one more guy who is a notch below,
Mhm.
2 notches below Sam Malu and 1 notch below Daniels is Max Sharpin. He's also a free agent coming out of Pittsburgh last year, was also a former second round pick from Houston in 2019, was a well thought of guy. You know, that he 3 years in Houston, Cincinnati for 2 years, then in Pittsburgh. He started 33 games, so not nothing. And he's a guy that probably is more genuine veteran depth, like is not even likely to like, hey, you would tell him and his agent that he could come in and start, but you're not planning on him beating out Anderson. That's more so like, hey, we just need another guy in the room who knows Meyer's scheme and that we're not going to be embarrassed if he has to play for a couple games. Like he can come in and play and it's just good high end veteran depth. And if he wins the job, great. That's a nice bonus. Um, so that's kind of like the last gasp one there. And I put that at like 2 million. Like, hey, you get a little bit more than the minimum, but just come in here and be a nice veteran depth piece for us. Just a name for fans to watch that I don't think would have a huge impact, but would just be a connection to Pat Meyer.
Yep, cool. I like it.